We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Nick Barris, along with News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams, are talking about his I-Team investigation into Metro schools and grading. And we have a few calls. Do you want to hit some of those? And we'll continue our conversation. We'll go with Taylor. Taylor, good morning.
Good morning, Nick, and good morning to Phil. And let me say this. Phil is Channel 5 is the only media outlet in this city that goes into really great investigations that take some depth and time and so forth that mean a lot. So I appreciate the effort on both the station and Phil's part.
Sure.
Let me say this. This is a really multifaceted problem that costs the taxpayers and the students millions upon millions of dollars. There have always been some social promotion of individuals throughout the years, and sometimes for good reasons and others not so good. But this all amounts to keeping your job, fooling the public that progress is being made so that the dollars keep coming and keep increasing. And it's really not only cheating the taxpayers, it's cheating these students that are making some effort. Some are making no effort, but through federal regulations, you got to keep them in school somewhere, whether it be an alternative or whatever. But these students that think maybe they can go to college, then get a student loan, go to college, have to take courses that aren't actually even going to apply toward their degree. So they rack up a lot of debt there, and then they're out of school but by the end of the first year, halfway through the second year, with that much student loan to have to pay off. And again, it's actually a tragedy for the city. These increases I have noticed over the years, I thought, these increases are jumping too much, too fast. Something is wrong. And part of it is we have in this city far too many teachers out every year, out of class with a substitute coming in. And I talked to a former school board member. He says, we had a study done once about this, and the comparisons they made were only against other systems that were even worse. Not a single school that was anywhere close to the population and racial makeup of our school was part of it. So it made ours look okay compared to those. But it's a big problem, and it needs a serious look from a lot of different directions instead of just PR work, which the city school system has always had good PR.
Taylor, thank you. Go ahead, Phil.
I think he raises some really good issues. I mean, number one being the fact that a lot of this is designed to keep the taxpayer dollars flowing, to keep public confidence in those schools. We talked to an expert in part 2 in testing issues. And right now, Metro Schools is saying, well, we're going to investigate ourselves. We're going to look into these issues ourselves. And he said, realistically, a school system cannot investigate itself. It hasn't. It didn't work in Atlanta. It didn't work in Texas, where you had another scandal. And so, he argues that you need someone who is objective to be able to,
of course, like in most investigations,
get to the bottom of these issues. I mean, we haven't asked the mayor at this point, but I think at some point, this probably will land on her doorstep.
Yeah, especially with the new directors of schools coming in. Is there any way you can get any kind of handle whatsoever, Phil, on how many children this might affect in Metro? I know that's a very difficult thing to quantify, but we have this one teacher talking about her students. Are we talking dozens, hundreds? Thousands? I don't know.
Again, I think it would be a guess. I think it's more than dozens.
Okay.
I think, we're talking about hundreds. to one degree or another. The most frustrating thing for me has been I like being able to get all the records and to be able to settle a question once and for all. Is this wrong? But with student records, we don't have access to those.
The confidentiality of that.
And so the school system has a lot of power in this discussion because it controls the cards. And I can't see the cards.
That's why you need whistleblowers.
Exactly.
People that keep records. Let's go next to Ann. Ann, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Ann.
A flip side to this story, and Miss Harris is part of it, and that is AP teachers were removed from teaching AP classes. I speak for East Nashville. I know of 7 AP teachers who were told to dummy down their classes or they would be removed from their positions, and they were removed from Stratford, East, Hunters Lane, and Maplewood classrooms. That was a loss to the AP students who could take those classes and pass those classes. So Phil, investigate that as well, because not only is the underachiever being cheated in all of this, but so are overachieving students. We lost Mary Bradshaw because of this. We've lost other teachers who have gone to charter schools because of this. We have lost a host of AP teachers who, because of Dr. Register and who he put in charge and who the principals were answering to, and it's affecting not only our underachievers, but our overachievers.
Hang on, Mary.
And let me ask you 2 things. Number one, can we put you on hold as soon as we finish this conversation?
We'll get her number.
And get a number so I can call you back off air.
Sure.
But number 2, what is the incentive to do this with AP classes?
What was the incentive?
Yes, ma'am.
To bridge the gap, so that the achieving student and the failing student gap did not look so broad at any one particular school in an area, in a subclass. So for an East Nashville, it didn't look so bad when you looked at the test scores for Stratford, East, and Maplewood and Hunters Lane. So when those papers got laid down at the district level and you saw McGavick and you looked at Overton and you looked here, the bridge was not so broad.
Okay.
So, and I hear about them narrowing the gaps, and so I mean, it sounds like that's what she's saying.
Oh yeah, Ann's on line 1. If you can get her phone number for us, my son took an AP class, an AP is advanced placement, and if you take a test A later, you can use it later if you pass it for college credit, right? So it sounds to me then like Phil, and I think what you just said was accurate. She's saying that maybe in these AP classes, I remember taking an AP class in high school. It was way over my head. I was lousy, and there were some other kids in there that were really good, nailed the test. I was never good enough to nail the test to do it. So I'm sure my grade, in comparison to some of these others, dragged the whole class down. So I wonder if that's what she's referring to. But that would be interesting if it's not just affecting the low-performing students, but these AP students who are particularly bright and set for college, and they are losing their professors.
Yeah, and I really need to talk to her a little bit more to kind of understand exactly what the issue is here.
Yeah.
But I do think there is an issue. I've got to get my arms around it.
You're just getting it, and that's how these tips come in. And thank you for the call, and we'll get your number, and Phil will give you a call later today. Let's go to Joanna. Hi, Joanna. Good morning, Joanna. Are you there? We'll come back to her. I think she was on line 5. Let's go to Linda. Hi, Linda.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I had emailed Phil Williams about this situation. I'm a retired Metro teacher. I've called several of my former co-workers to see if I remember this correctly. This was in elementary school now, and we were told in the grade speed, what we use for our grading system, to not put a 0,
because that would average in as a 0. But to put 50s, 60s, and 70s in the missing grade spaces, even though, I mean, we even tried to get kids to turn in work to do, and this was like first grade. We were told that this, if we gave them a failing grade, that would hurt their self-esteem. And that's just setting them up at that age to fail later on. High EL population, they need to do more work with the EL population if they want.
And EL is English learner?
English learners, yes, English language learners. They need to do more work and like pull out programs for those kids that are having difficulty. If you just come from Mexico or wherever, and you don't speak any English, and you're just placed in a second grade class because of your age, that's putting them behind again, doubly putting them behind. And I just never liked being told that I couldn't give them a 0 or had to give them 50s, 60s, and 70s to help it have a passing grade because of their self-esteem. And I think that's one of the problems is they're being pushed on, and to the point where it gets to the AP classes in high school, and they cannot perform, can't even perform on grade level. So I just had to have my say about it. So thank you guys for listening to my rant and rave.
All right, Linda, thank you.
Yeah, and I do remember her email, and in fact, we're getting so many calls and so many emails from Metro School teachers that it's really hard right now to keep up with all the leads that are coming in.
You'll be sifting through them. Listen, we'll take a break on that note. We'll come back with more of your calls in our final segment with Phil right after this. Stay with us.